Hi, this is Matt Weiner, and I am here with...
Levin.
We are the co-writers on this. Is episode 4 of season 5, Mystery Date. And we basically wanted to sort of recognize, as we do sometimes, take a historical event of the time and sort of show its impact on, the characters. But what this episode, I think, was really about was... We kept saying, to quote the song, virtue never tested isn't virtue at all. And the idea that Don was being faithful to Megan, but what did that mean if he really was never tempted?
Right, and the darkness in the hearts of men.
Yeah, there's a sort of, moment where you say, okay, I want to tell this story about, this murder, which captured the public's imagination, and I mean, I still to this day, right? People know about Richard Speck, and I don't even know if they know about the riots that summer.
I think they do in the abstract, but the idea that they all happened at the same time,
right,
is amazing.
And
Goodbye.
this idea that I love this thing here. So we decided that Don was sick because we wanted to have this fantasy thing, and a fever dream seemed the best way for it to happen. But we also kept talking about the fact that, I don't know if it was Bobby Barrett that made me think of it, but that Don really probably left quite a swath of lovers behind him, and at some point Megan was going to have to deal with that.
Yes, they do have a way of showing back up at the oddest times.
And he tried to use this sort of horror movie motif for the entire time. For Max Shackman did a good job on this, and of course there's all kinds of costume elements, and then these pictures that really were owned by Time Life magazine, and were on the cover of the Life magazine that was the week after.
And over the course of the episode, those hints become more dense, and the lighting becomes more dark.
Right. And there's a lot of sound work that they did on this that's really amazing too, to sort of create this the atmosphere. But the thing that's kind of interesting to me is here you have our research showed us that they had just done an issue of Life magazine about the anniversary of the Watts riots, which were the year before. So they really weren't going to cover the riots on some level. And then this story happened, and we had a hard time finding out exactly what had happened with Richard Speck, or at least what people knew at that time, right?
Well, there were conflicting reports, and ultimately the New York Times was the best source.
Yeah, it was. Of course, there's an omission here because obviously these were definitely sex murders, and part of the fascination with that in general is something that's always fascinated me anyway. And you get this scene where people are sort of titillated by that violence. And a character choice we made with our new character here, Mr. Ginsburg, who we know is a Holocaust survivor, though the audience doesn't, or the child of Holocaust survivors. And
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
His reaction to all of this is very interesting to me. The peculiarly Ginsburg morality,
right,
and the things that set him off. It's surprising.
Yeah, his sort of sensitivity to it. I love that. Also, too, that this I think this might have been Vic's thing, that he was sitting there writing his copy and for Mohawk Airlines, and he needed the model airplane in front of him.
Right. Well, you've got to be inspired after all.
So here we see Joan taking this gelatinous cake out of the oven, and we see her mother, who we met in the first episode, and this is all about how deftly can we talk about Greg's rearrival, Dr. Greg, who is in Vietnam. And this conflict between her mother, where we get to express Joan's anxiety.
Her mom's unbelievable talent for insinuating herself in other people's business.
Well, I think Joan has involved her, obviously. She needs her to take care of the baby. But I also love the idea that, he's a soldier. And he is probably out there sleeping with other women, is the first insinuation. And then there's this surgical insinuation that he's doing the same thing there that he does here. And of course, then there's the idea of this war. He is a warrior. And I don't know, I've always been sort of fascinated by what I think is some level of biological dynamic that women are probably for protection. I don't know what it is, but are excited by men's violence. Not towards them, obviously, but in general.
Well, that's certainly a sub-theme here, especially in what's to come.
Hello, sweetheart. What's the matter?
I love the way Don speaks to Sally here.
Yeah, Vic and I both have children, and there is a, and also, of course, he's the divorced dad, so he's sort of, they have this commiseration about Henry, you know.
There's a thing that's coming up when Sally makes him laugh.
Right.
And I remember what a great moment it was the first time my daughter made me laugh legitimately with something unexpected. It's you realize that the world has changed and it's never going back to the way it was.
Right.
And you know what else? She doesn't believe me that I'm allowed to watch as much TV as
So
I
it's the
want.
summer here, and this is a great outfit, and of course the Draper, the Francis kitchen now, in this great sort of gray summer light. You know it's hot. You can see that, you know, John Hamm does a great job of conveying this sickness here. We had all kinds of meetings about levels of sweat and how sick he was, and him not eating, and
There's 50,000 coughs in the episode, most of them deep and throaty. I don't know how he did it and still walked away.
yeah. I love her sudden moment of concern for him too, in the middle of asking him for a favor.
Right.
That's really
And
really,
his reply, which is lovely.
I'm great. Let's go.
So it starts with Ken.
So here we introduce this fairy tale theme. I also have to talk about, I mean, you know, Ben Feldman, who plays Ginsberg. Look at he's a stick, and Janie has found a way to not only make him mismatched in the way that creative people frequently are, or outsiders in society are, but his pants buckling there and everything. It's pretty.
Right. His fly isn't quite all the way up.
Yeah.
This is how you present to your creative director. At least check the fly. On the way in.
Exactly.
Doesn't seem too much to ask.
And this girl's legs will be spectacular. And yes,
And I love the idea that, you know, we have this dramatic problem always of like, how many times do we want to hear this pitch? And of course, we only hear a little piece of it on the other side. But Don listening to their idea and sort of going back to the Cinderella thing, which is Vic having a significant background in advertising, confirmed my suspicions that when you do women's shoes, Cinderella is probably the first thing that comes up. But we like the idea of the Cinderella myth, fairy tale going along with this thematic aspect of the show, which is that it's a very dark story on some level. It's about a stranger. It's about being pursued, and I mean, I think in the original fairy tale there's a lot of violence in it. The stepsisters cut their heels off and just to fit them into the shoe that the prince brings.
In general, those fairy tales are violent beyond
Yeah.
belief.
Hard to believe they're for kids.
Yeah.
But they obviously touch on some kind of truth. So here we have their reunion, right down to Joan lifting her leg when she kisses him. I don't remember if that was in the script or if just Christina knows that's what she's supposed to do.
I think she just knows.
And here he is seeing his child, who he has never seen.
Crap, look at him.
And he's got a great natural reaction. And Joan, of course, rushing to take care of her husband.
Believing that it's his child.
Yes, there's that too. You know what? I don't know. Somehow I'm with Joan on this. I completely forgot about it. I suppose there's a tension there, you know, for the audience, certainly. Is that, yeah.
I don't think we have any film. You know what?
Go get the brownie, which was like the word Kleenex for tissue. It was literally meant the camera. It was a Kodak camera. And there he's got a hat box with some kind of gift for her. And of course, the tension of what her mother has described as his reentry into life, which is also his consummation, you know, this conjugal visit with his wife.
Yeah, and her none too subtle reminder to Greg.
Yeah. Right, I know, you have it all. Sam does a great job of sort of filling out that uniform, expressing desire, taking it seriously. We can see a kind of, there was a prediction, you know, after he, you know, the fact that he was not successful enough in civilian life to really make it as a surgeon, but that he was great for the army. I think people felt that he would be terrible at the army, and I feel like he would completely succeed, which he has. It's given him a new sense of purpose and ego. This scene's very interesting to me. You want to talk about this a little bit?
Well, I believe it was the first thing we shot on the first day, for one thing. And
Wow.
It always amazes me that actors can look like they're wide awake at, you know,
Right.
7
And deep
in
into the
morning.
story.
Yeah.
Very warm.
And so there's this moment. you know, of rapprochement at the cabinet, and
Right.
I think you really do see how much he loves her and how sorry he is that that happened.
Right. I love this. This was a sound thing that you just get to add when you have a great sound mix and wonderful creative people. Is I wanted to do this thing with the water hammer in the building, and something I remember, especially at that, from that time until probably the mid '90s, which is that the New York City water had a strange color, odor, and came through some very old pipes even right
and
away.
They used to say it's the best water in the world. It's good for you.
Right.
That brown is good. It's a healthy brown.
Right. And of course, you're dealing with Jessica also sort of figuring out in the scripts, as we do, what her role is going to be. She still has this kind of strange role at work, a Megan, and her security with him, her way of talking back to him. It's just like we've never seen him have a conversation with Betty like this.
Right, and she doesn't back down. She says what she came to say, and she doesn't let him off the hook.
And he, of course, is riddled with guilt as he brings this up and talks about it and then says to her, "You brought it up." And of course, and then you can play back the scene and see that she's right. He did. He feels badly about the awkwardness of it. He really tried to push Andrea away, and sort of.
And ultimately, it's the challenge that she poses that makes her so attractive in the long run.
What do you mean?
Well, she's always interesting. She's not predictable, and she's
Right.
strong.
Right.
And for a man like that,
You're talking about Megan now.
yes,
Yes,
for a
okay.
man like that, over the long haul,
Right.
that's what it takes to keep your heart in the game.
Right. This is a again, okay, so the character of Pauline, who is Henry's mother, really was familiar to a lot of us as a kind of tough love grandma from a different generation, and we've all been left with in the care of these people, and a lot of times they are sweet and spoil you, and a lot of times they are somewhat put upon. But I love this sort of honest conversation here about what's appropriate for children and what's not. But of course, Pauline is completely, as we will see, obsessed with this story, and on some level turned on. And that was interesting to me.
I also like the way she speaks about Betty. And by the way, how she uses the newspaper as punctuation, a favorite move of my dad.
This is a great joke.
Yeah.
I do not want you looking at this. There's nothing to see here.
Yeah.
How could you resist that? Look at Christina Hendricks. Hair, makeup, all adorning something incredible. And I love his thing about he wants to have bologna because he's back in the States.
You don't think that they would have had steak there, but of course they would have had steak
Right.
there.
Three of you up to.
And
Kevin, how good I am with my hands.
We were talking about the riot.
I love that this.
Negroes in Saigon, and they're plenty brave.
We had the airline strike was going on. It was a lot of news that we kind of wanted to deal with, like how would Greg get home because he would have to go on a civilian airplane, which means that would be an issue.
And they did, in fact, have to stop and pick up passengers
Right.
who were waylaid.
And of course, the riots. And I love Greg sort of expressing what I think the U.S. military's line is like, this is one of the only desegregated zones in America. Anyone can fight and die in the army. And of course, now we know that a disproportionate number of infantrymen were culled from the poorest classes of America, and a lot of them were, of course, people of color. But it comes across as a kind of liberalism that you sort of, admire in a way.
If you do, you certainly shouldn't ask me to hold.
So here's his carefully planned live omission.
Right. And, of course, she's terrified that he's going to tell her about another woman
Listen, Joni,
because her mother planted that in her head and because she's probably got it on her mind anyway.
I know, for another 40 days.
And he has the hubris to believe that he'll be able to say what he came to say and not be asked questions that would reveal the truth.
The strangest thing about telling this story with Greg is that when we had to sort of figure out where he would be and how far along he would be in his training and how it would work and when he would get home and could he be home and could he come home and go back and all these things that we sort of wanted to tell the story, everything kind of fell into place. The Army sort of worked in a way that was really, as far as I'm concerned, against Joan.
Yeah.
They really give him this furlough. He wouldn't have been allowed out to go and see his baby being born, but he would be able to get a furlough sort of in between this last 40 days, which is strange to me.
And you think it sounds good.
So here's Ginsburg repeating the joke that he had tried on Don in the
Right.
presentation, because of course everything that seems unrehearsed is never unrehearsed.
It's really incredible how casually he does it both times.
Yeah.
And I love the way that Mr. Butler and I love the way that these clients handle things. You can tell that this is a sophisticated audience with a client who really does know what he's interested in, does understand the idea of getting a message across to sell shoes. I love when we get to do that with the clients, because for the most part, they're throwing themselves in Don's hands, but sometimes they know.
This guy is as sharp as a client gets. I mean, he is really willing to go to an interesting place with his message. Most of the time, a client would say, no, if it doesn't clearly state the selling proposition, I'm not interested.
But they also kind of felt like, I think there's always a resistance to conflict in an ad, is my take, which is funny because it's like the basis of entertainment on some level. If there is a conflict, they want it resolved, and there's something about that sort of envy and admiration slogan, even though we've seen it a million times, that it's not as exciting as what Ginsburg pitches here. This monologue, to me, which was supposed to be spontaneous, and of course, I love their reaction to the fact that Ginsburg has gone off the reservation. He is having a private conversation after they said yes, basically pitching an idea, and I think it's completely unconscious. If the audience is wondering, like, is he trying to sell his idea still? He's not. He is just telling a story that obsessed him, right?
Right, and this is a fireable offense on several levels. Number one, you don't go past the sale. Number two, you don't cut the legs off your creative director when he's standing there. Number three, you don't walk out without approval.
Right.
I mean, there's no end to the sins.
Right. I mean, and it shows what we were trying to show, which is that Ginsburg lacks any kind of social sophistication, despite his creative intelligence.
And Don is very charitable here. I mean, Don would be within his rights, even in the modern era, to punch him in the face.
Right.
And not only doesn't he fire him, but he lets him off with a dressing down.
Right. I love this dressing down, though. It's as someone who's had a boss, I can say that this is about as scary as being fired.
So this is perhaps a symptom of what is to come for him, what is coming for him in the season.
You think it's a moment of weakness for him?
I think it's a moment of love leave. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I think he's
not taking his business seriously enough because he gets soft and doesn't fire Ginsburg. I believe that. Vic is the person who introduced this concept of love leave. I mean, it's certainly the words for it, which is that Don is so interested in his happiness with his new, sexy, interesting, supporting wife that he is not paying attention to his job. And we see Pete sort of making advances, and of course, I agree with you. I mean, it is surprising he didn't fire him. Here's a great sort of lighting, music, cinema moment that we get to do in the show where we're trying to show that the man is sick, and you get that detail of him taking his shoes off and laying on the bed. Every one of these shots and setups is an issue. So when you're telling the story, you want to make sure you get all the little pieces here.
This is the moment when he gives himself over to the sickness, and when the episode gives itself over to the illness that's plaguing it on many levels.
That's totally true. So here's Roger in his office, apparently working. And we love this story with Mohawk because it was fascinating that they'd gotten Mohawk back, and Mohawk had, through a loophole, been able to survive through the strike and get a lot of money and suck up a lot of roots and do very well. And then, of course, as we find out right around Christmas, they were then struck with their own strike and really had to pay the piper on it. But that this sort of extra profit on the back of labor here by and this is one of my favorite things that happened the entire season. This scene, it's a new dynamic, opportunity for humor in the middle of darkness, and Roger's sort of beginning to, I mean, he paid for the ad, I guess, and a little kiss, but we had this idea that because he didn't have any clients and because he was sort of struggling to have any kind of place at the agency, he was having such a hard time, and the young people, Pete was surpassing him.
Everyone is showing him disrespect.
Look at this sexy moment between them.
Yeah.
Everyone's showing disrespect for him. It's
to
true.
Roger, even Stan, even a mid-level art director is giving him lip and walking out the door.
And then he reaches into his pocket to get things done because, in case the audience is unclear with the history of the show, that when he sold Sterling Cooper to PPL to save his to have money to get divorced, but Don made $500,000, and Roger was a name partner and an owner of probably a 40 to 50% stake in this business. So whatever wealth he had to begin with, he is at this point probably worth close to $4 or $5 million in 1965. That's
And
hard
yet,
to explain how much money that is, and yet still working.
and yet doesn't know enough not to take the whole wad of bills out of his pocket when he's beginning a negotiation.
I don't think he's negotiating. I think he doesn't know that.
Yeah.
And I love that Peggy sort of stands up for the workers, and he reminds her that she's in advertising. And here he claims Pete's idea. I love Peggy's sort of expertise with this, and even the advertising education she's giving him, you know.
Yeah, she's making the 7 notes that she needs to make to do the work.
Right.
And she's already thinking. She's having the conversation.
Right, that's fantastic. But I love this negotiation, and I also love the fact that our research showed that there was such a thing as a corporate image campaign, and it was called that.
Well, that's what you do in hard times. You say something frothy that sounds good.
I get it. I just didn't know that there was I mean, I knew obviously that we've talked about it throughout the history of the show, and I know about propaganda and so forth. I just love the idea that we could use that phrase,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, as you taught us all, the truth always leads you to something better.
Yeah, that's. So here he is. He's gonna.
There could be a montage
Better
from
be
this
good.
season of him throwing cash
I
at
know.
people.
Do you want me to take your watch? I'd love that. He's having trouble admitting that he's powerless. And of course, I find this this is sometimes when the story we always joke, it's so hard to do the show and so hard to write the show, but we always joke about how sometimes it writes itself. Peggy having all this, we knew that the story we wanted to do with Dawn, about her taking Dawn to her apartment, and in the end having that moment of looking at Dawn, of being suspicious of Dawn, looking at the purse. And the fact that there was that much money in there kind of gave Peggy more motivation and made her just less callow in a weird way. But we didn't think about that when we were breaking the story, what was in her purse.
Right.
Editorially, there's something very interesting going on here, which is that there's a kind of, because this is not really happening, there's a lot of elements that happen in the scene, sort of squeezing Andrea out of the shot and pitch shifting John Hamm's voice a little bit to make him sound a little sicker.
And we want the audience to have just the thinnest suspicion at this point that perhaps this isn't happening.
Really?
Well, the thinnest, at least so that it'll resonate.
I just
in
wanted
retrospect.
when they looked back that it would mean something.
Yeah.
By the way, when Dan Bishop built this, designed the set, and Claudette, they decorated it, I saw this kitchen, and it's so accurate to the period. And the idea that there's this kitchen door that goes off to the garbage service staircase, it was great to use it. And here we use this shot is actually in a reverse. This is the shot where he woke up being played backwards, and it sort of gives it an extra dreamy quality. And here we were able to use the mystery date ad.
From which the episode takes its title, and behind every door is a man who may bring good or may bring bad, or may bring bad disguised as good.
And just the idea of this, imprinting on adolescent girls. If you open the door, there is a man there, and you don't have to know anything about him, but isn't it exciting? And Pauline's still in it.
Now, as much as I'd love to go, I can't make.
And I love that she's sort of put upon about having to watch Sally.
And wants very much for Sally to overhear her put upon this. Which on some level says that she's starting to take Sally seriously as an adult.
I think she, like a lot of mother-in-laws, does not approve of the way her daughter-in-law is raising her kids, and tries to, enforce her own will. That line about watching the sunset in your room is, that's a memory of my childhood. Being punished and being sent to bed in the summer before it got dark, which, could be as late as 9 o'clock, still was a terrible experience. You'd hear people playing out there. It's a bad punishment.
Yeah, those are the best nights of the year. when you're living in New York, the late summer nights.
So here is a moment that we culled from a conversation with Frank Pearson who passed away as we were doing these DVD commentaries. And this was a story that he relayed to us that his mother used to tell. And you can tell when you do something like this that it comes from the truth. And when after Frank told the story, I was blown away by the sheer agony of it. It was his mother who would relay this story about her father, and I said to him, "Can we have that?" And he said, "Make it yours. I don't want it anymore."
Right, which, can I say, we wrote on the board in the writer's room as inspiration, and for months.
Yeah, it was really amazing.
It's in a
Writers
way.
are we're in the emotional archaeology business anyway, but that was literally the quintessence of it.
And the emotional exhibitionism business.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it was an inspiration, and in a way, a description of what we always do.
Right. So this scene, obviously, a lot comes out in this scene, but there's a real attention to detail to create this kind of like somewhat fancy Italian restaurant. And I love the idea that there's a young kid there who's the waiter, and then this military officer who has to salute Greg even in civilian life. A lot of rules about that. We took them, obviously, whatever we could get to make it the most dramatic. And that Greg is a hardcore army man now, and there is a war going on at home about who's serving and who's not serving.
He's very much aware that he's wearing his uniform, that every eye in the place has noticed him, that he carries authority even here.
Right. And I love, we were like saying, like, how is Greg going to find out? And we were sitting there saying, like, there's no way his mother is going to be happy about this. And we love the idea that he had told his mother and not told Joan, because he is, has some character issues.
Poor put upon Joe there in the background, his dad.
Oh my God, that guy is wonderful. He is wonderful.
This is 800 takes of expressing umbrage and shame.
Right. Yeah, and I love the way he looks like Sam.
What is she talking about? Did you have a say in this?
And of course, the public reception of this information really, really helps Greg sort of get off easy, at least for the moment.
And he never does come out and say any version of "I lied."
Right. Well, I think it's hard for him to explain.
There's never been a well-timed accordion, by the way. They come in just when you want silence, and they come.
I can't help it that as painful and uncomfortable as this scene is, I really would love to go and eat at this restaurant.
All season long, she works in the dark, Matt.
I know.
She's at these desks with one light, and it doesn't even seem to be on what she's doing. It's
I gotta tell you
fantastic.
something. Let's face it. That's a cinematography choice,
It's
not necessarily a
fantastic.
working choice.
But I
well,
love
here
it,
it's a
though.
mood. It's a tool, in the toolbox, and I
think
love
she's
this.
in a cone. I think she's literally in a cone of light where there's nothing besides her and the idea.
Hello?
So she hears this noise. We want to establish this horror movie, and I have to say the lighting in this, and her performance, and sort of the way that Matt Jackman delivers this moment was very exciting to me when I saw it the first time I saw it.
Somebody there?
And of course, Leo did a great job of changing the genre here for a minute.
This is very deftly shot right here.
I just love the way the light comes in outside. And here's Don's new secretary, Dawn, who we know very little about, sleeping in his office. Instant story, which is great.
I will. In a bit.
And I love this. As we were researching why would this woman need to stay at Peggy's apartment, or how will we have them have a conversation together? It became very clear that if the woman did not leave the office by 7 that day, she would not be able to get home. And it probably happened quite a bit.
And this little line about the police being there doesn't make it better.
Yeah.
Doesn't help.
Is there a riot in Harlem?
There was a thing in Bed-Stuy.
There's a lot, we play on this white guilt, and people always ask about where is the civil rights movement? Why am I not tearing the newspaper apart and throwing it into the show? I feel that New York is a somewhat integrated city, but for the most part, I I cannot find any evidence that it is affecting people other than the people that it's actually affecting at this point in history, except for the super idealistic people who are getting involved in the South. Of course, that is Jessica's voice that we used for that line of transition. And Madchen here is, she's such a great choice for this part. I was hesitant because of my public expression of love for Twin Peaks. But I also feel like, these people should never work again or something, if they carry something extra with them in a realm of, anyone who's seen that show knows part of the reason she was cast is because she's so beautiful and so mysterious. And this seduction here, Dawn is really fighting it, but it is really hard to fight.
And the audience is going, don't do it.
Don't do it. I know. I did actually watch this with somebody who knew the story, and when Dawn pushes her back on the bed and starts to unzip her dress, said, no!
Yeah. Someone in my family said, oh, Dawn. Right about now.
Yeah. And
that's the actual picture. I mean,
that's the paper.
Can you imagine
it's
opening the paper and seeing that?
Of course, we know now that the peculiarity of what Speck did is really an act of impotence. But at the time, they did not know that. They did not know, and it was all sort of twisted together. That it was as a rape murder, which it turns out it actually wasn't.
About joining the army.
You were saying something in the taxi about
Elizabeth here kind of snuck up on me. We were interested, all the writers, in sort of conveying this idea about what's inside a man and what it means to be a man, and does Peggy have to be a man? And this scene, sort of in its pieces, and Elizabeth's spectacular performances, drunk and available and kind of a spirit guide or something.
There's a moment of
letting Dawn into the inside of it, but I was totally blown away by this scene when I saw it.
I think there's even a moment of sexuality when she gets up on her knees a little bit.
Oh, really?
Just for a second. I didn't think so the first couple of times
Maybe.
that I saw it, but
all I know is
because she's talking about, do I have to, be a man, and do you think I act like a man?
That's interesting.
You two talk sometimes.
I do know that
We have to stick together.
Lizzie's being so generous here. The character is being so generous and so self-aware in a great way,
I was the only one like me there for a long time.
and not comparing her problems truly to Tiona's, to Dawn's problems. But
It's hard.
And she's going to keep that secret.
oh yeah, but I had no idea that this scene could be this important.
Here it is.
And yeah.
Do you want to be a copywriter?
And I love, she asks her if she wants to be a copywriter, and Dawn's like, I love my job. It's a huge job for Dawn. This is a life-changing route for her.
Copywriters tough.
And Peggy is really just talking to herself, is what we hear.
Yeah, in terms of the theme of always, wanting to move forward, so as to define success. That staying in one place is stagnation, which is a theme that runs throughout the season.
Yeah, that's true.
And
But
she
for
and
me,
Dawn
it's
is
more
perfectly
interesting
willing
that,
to.
Yeah, it's more interesting to me that Peggy just takes whatever answer she gives and is like, yeah, I agree with you. It's really tough what I'm doing.
Yeah.
There's an ego there.
I don't know if I want
That moment to me was a complete surprise. I did not see it on the page. And it's a kind of a profound thought,
Yeah.
And to me, that's the heart of the episode right there. That's what it's about. Not just becoming a man, but what is that goes with being a man? And here's a classic horror shot, which is very well executed. Sally can't sleep.
Well, you cannot
And
sneak up on someone my age, especially in this house.
Pauline, now we have part of Sally's journey into adulthood for the season.
Right. And, even Pauline is talking about her own mortality. That's the second mention of age in the show. There's death all over the place. If it's not here now, it's coming Tuesday.
We can't.
Why are you
That's
scared?
not deliberate. I mean, it's a murder story, so.
Oh, honey. Did you pull it out?
That's Maria Jacques Maton. Just realize this, everyone. Sleeps with a bat by the bed, which she calls her burglar.
Those girls. got ready for bed.
And I love the way she sort of
And there was
tells the story here. And this is what this was about for me, is this uncomfortable experience that I have seen throughout life of, and I don't know if it's attached to the age of women, but this is a salacious experience for her. This is like this is a turn on in some way as she's telling this story about this murder, and like it's some kind of romance novel. It's some kind of elaborate, it's a rape fantasy. Of course, it's a fantasy, but
Why not?
I thought it was something that would be resonant.
And fantasy being in that realm, all she has left.
That too. That may be what it's about.
Now I'm really scared.
It's not gonna happen.
Uh,
Not while I've got my burglar alarm.
I love, we kept talking about maybe calling this the girl under the bed. And we love this sort of resonance of Andrea being shoved under the bed and Sally ending up under the couch. And of course, this lone survivor of the Speck murders being the person who was under the bed and completely, was forgotten and then woke up to that horror.
Second all. You remember the generation before us? And second all.
I knew it was like Sominex. It was
in everybody's
over the
house.
counter. Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
So here you have this burst of violence and confrontation, and starting with the baby crying in that close-up, which is fantastic. And I think what we're playing on here, of course, is we all know their history. We know what Greg did to Joan, and we have gone out of our way as storytellers to kind of ignore it because Joan did. Joan married him and went on with it, and that was fine. Wasn't fine, obviously, but whenever things start to heat up, I know that is looming in the audience's mind. And
Just needs to blow off steam.
Don't get involved, Mother.
this conversation is very important.
Someone's Kevin is over there and he's going to get hurt and Greg won't be there.
But our Kevin is right in there, and he doesn't.
What is Joan really mad about,
You can do it. I'll help.
No.
Having to be dutiful?
Go lie down. You don't
She
even
says
know.
no and she goes to bed, and we were debating this. I mean, we went back and forth on this quite a bit, whether she should even say anything. But I think everybody felt she should say no, because
I hope you don't mind.
she feels no, and in the end,
My roommate moved the other
it's not the
room.
only reason that she's letting him go.
That's right, and that's the key.
Good night then.
So here it is, the purse moment.
And as I said, the fact that all that money's in there really helped.
Devastating betrayal of Peggy's own worst instincts,
Yeah, it's
which she herself wishes she didn't have.
really, this is not exercising white guilt. This is literally a story about how far apart these people are, despite Peggy's attempts.
Right.
Peggy can't get past her instincts, which are completely prejudiced.
Now, at this point, we're wondering, what percentage of the audience is absolutely certain that it's a fantasy? What percentage?
For me, the idea was convey it in as realistic a way as possible.
Yes,
and
yes.
then of course there was some concern in the room that the important part of it was after it happened to not let it go on too long before you reveal that it wasn't real, because then you're sort of toying with people. But I found this terrifying, and it was written in that he was naked, which was important to the story, believe it or not, because I felt there was a kind of like animalistic, it's rage. It's a rage.
The muscle and sinew, the way his neck is bulging.
Oh yeah, John, he's incredible here. It's really violent. I didn't want it to be romantic.
Yeah.
And of course,
this move,
great
move
music
here
cue.
with his feet, which we slaved over, is so crushing. The way her body folds when he pushes against her midsection.
I actually sort of thought that, I wasn't there on the set. I actually thought that she would actually be folded in half in there, because and not for any other purpose other than to sort of make it as gruesome as possible, and not to revel in the violence for the point of turning the audience on, but to show that a human life had been lost. It's really important to me to not be exploitive in this way. It's not my style.
Right. and a man tries to sweep away his darkest instincts or kick them away
Sure.
after he's given vent to them, and you can't.
Well, I think it's like I also think it's like shows how crazy he is. What a dream he's in that he thinks he can just put a shit under the bed.
Yeah.
It's gonna be gone. It's like a little kid.
Henry actually laughs at his mother's predicament.
There's Sally under the bed.
And for maybe the briefest second, you wonder if she's okay.
Really?
I think so.
Oh wow.
She just took Seconal.
That's true. Half a second all. And of course, here's the angel. I love this effect, and I love the parallel in those two things. It's a nonverbal sort of expression of two different sides of the fear. And Dawn looks and sees that there's nothing there. Of course.
That shot matching the other one, and then the dream is over, and he takes everything in, including his own darkest reaches.
Right. And then he basically, the whole point of the story is him saying to her, I'm going to be faithful to you. And it's a very short sentence here that he gets very well, which is, you don't have to worry about me anymore.
Last night.
And we're thinking, you should worry about him all the time.
I think, you got his conscience there. Of course, he really wanted, he wanted to kill that woman, obviously, for ruining his relationship. And he wants to kill that part of himself. And of course, the parallel, this is when you talk about like what is a theme or something. It's on your mind. Sally would hide under the couch because she's scared, and that's the safe place to be. But Dawn is hiding. They don't match up as like a math problem. It's just like sort of a psychological irony. It's not supposed to be some kind of like, ooh, everybody ends up under the
For a long
bed.
time, he was awake and went back to bed already.
I barely slept at all.
But I do think you think that Joan is going to reconcile one more time. There's
I
that.
think so. And
There's that coffee pot, the most popular coffee pot in the entire world.
I want you to go.
It's the more than any prop we've ever had on the show. People have come up to me and said they had that coffee pot. They must have sold a lot of them.
It's only a year.
we had it.
No.
Yeah.
I want you
Corning.
to go and never come back.
Damn it, Joni.
I love his sort of outrage, his moral outrage.
We don't.
And I love that we have a show that she can say, you know what I'm talking about, and the audience does.
Well, that's
I'm glad that
a courageous callback, and it works.
It did work. I mean, everybody got it.
In fact, they were waiting for it on some level.
Yeah, I was so strange to me that it would. I thought it might hit them by surprise, but as I said, I think the minute he's pounding on that door and yelling, I think the minute they see him kiss her at the beginning of the episode, that's always in the back of their mind in their relationship. And I don't think it's on Joan's mind all the time. I think she's tried to forget about it.
I love the way she pulled her hand away there.
Yeah.
The closest thing to violence that she
That's
gets
true.
to.
Well, that was a scripted, moment that he would grab her wrist as he did when he raped her.
Right, and she would let it
just,
linger.
And she would just yank it away and be like, "That's it. You don't get to overpower me."
She waits for that moment to yank it away. She lets it, gives it maximum impact.
Well, that's an editorial choice too.
Yeah.
We milked it a little.
Yeah.
And I love that the mom wants to sort of fix things up. She's devastated by this. She knows he's not good. She knows everything, but she knows the propriety of it, and she wants to stand by your man, right?
Her daughter was seen to until 10 seconds ago, and
Right.
now her daughter is not seen to.
So there's a sort of great montage here. The letter, David Carbonaro wrote a great cue here that kind of has this melancholy but serious. It's got a kind of heightened drama to it. It sounds important to me.
Well, it's quite clear, Peggy, that Dawn knew exactly what was going on in that moment, and
Left the note right on the purse.
yeah, maybe 2% of her was hoping that she had read into it too much, but not so.
And we always wondered how to end this thing. And then Janet had this great moment where she talked about being a new mom and her husband being out of town and hearing a siren. And I just love the idea of the three of them in that bed, that little man between them, this little boy between these two generations of women. And of course, the song. Leo Trombetta introduced me to the song. I didn't even know it existed a couple years beforehand. And I was really hesitant to use it because it's so obviously explicit about male violence. But you can't believe that it was recorded and that this is a real emotion for somebody.
Yeah, I remember you saying sometimes once in a blue moon on the nose is okay.
I felt that it really happened. And it was really from that period. It blew my mind. Anyway, this is a pleasure. I hope you quote unquote enjoyed this episode.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, it was
Not you, on them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, of course. I
hope you did too.
I hope you did too.
I did. It was tough. It was a tough sort of. I think it's just this great anthem to like the vulnerability of women. So